Okay, everybody, it appears we've got the internet back, so we'll start tonight's meeting. Okay, Joe, could you announce the emergency evacuation procedure, please?
If the continuous alarm sounds, you must evacuate the building and proceed to the assembly point. From this room, you follow the green running person signs to the exit, using either the marble staircase at the end of the building nearest to Bath Abbey or the main staircase. Please do not use the lifts. The assembly point for this building is in Orange Grove on the green outside grounds. There is an evacuation chair for use by disabled people who so wish in the corridor outside the Council Chamber Public Gallery. Alternatively, the area at the top of the marble staircase has been designated as a safe refuge where persons needing assistance should assemble. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Yes, I've received apologies from councillors Anna Box, Deborah Collins, Alan Hale, Steve Hedges, Hal McPhee, Paul Roper, Karen Walker, Tim Warren. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. On to item 3, which is election of chair for 2025-26. Do I have any nominations, please?
I'd like to nominate Liz Hardman.
Thank you. Would you like to make a speech on that?
Sorry, I was the second, and I make a speech. Fine. More than happy to nominate Liz, a friend and a colleague, as we first elected in 2011. But I think we just need to be careful about this decision. I just need to remind members of council that we are electing somebody who has been an assistant head in a comprehensive school for 10 years. Now, that isn't going to be a problem to people, members like myself, who always behave themselves, but clearly, I think a number of members in here will be afraid, very afraid, when it comes to misbehaving through the year. But more seriously, it really is a pleasure to nominate Liz. As I say, Mrs. Porton, and I know that since she's been elected, she has been a really proud community councillor. The reciting of the library in Porton, the cafe there, the improvement to facilities, the food bank, as well as Southwest in bloom in the village as a whole, I think is all a tribute to the work that she and Grant do in Porton. And I believe she's the first councillor from Porton to actually take on this position of chair of council. And I'm sure that a number of us, because of course the election 2 years ago was delayed, and so a number of us knocked on doors in Porton with that delayed election. And there seemed to be 3 groups of people in Porton. There were those people who were taught by Liz. There were those people who went to school with Grant, and the third group was people who did both. So I'm sure that there'll be many people in Porton who will be very proud of the fact that their councillor will be taking on this position. But of course, it wouldn't be right to nominate Liz without mention of the fact that she is very proud of her Irish heritage as well. Important part of who she is. And I don't want to fall into easy stereotypes about shamrocks, leprechauns and Guinness, because of course it isn't Guinness, it's red wine and Prosecco. So, Liz, you will be a real asset to the council, and I'm sure people in Porton will be really proud, and I'm more than happy to nominate you for this position for the municipal year.
Thank you. Councillor Guy?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Robin. You've taken away all my jokes. I'm more than happy to second Liz as Chair. In fact, I'm very, very pleased to second Liz as Chair. As Robin has mentioned, She's been a champion for Polton for so many years. She works so hard down there, and she's an excellent representative of those individuals. She works extremely hard on the PDS panel. Her commitment to young people in Bath and North East Somerset is a credit to her, and her dedication to those who are the most vulnerable in our society is noted by everybody in this chamber. As Robin has pointed out, she is a former teacher, so I hope we will all be on our best behaviour, and I promise to be a star pupil, as I'm sitting at the front of the class. It would be amiss of me not to say, though, that it's genuinely a credit to have somebody from work in the council where we can choose members of alternative parties to chair our council, and it just shows that we're a functional, working democracy, and we're not afraid to share the important roles. So very, very pleased to be seconding your appointment. Congratulations.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations from the floor? No? In which case, Councillor Hughes, do you want to say a few words?
Thank you. Yes, on behalf of the Independent Group, we're delighted to have Liz as our new chair. We feel that with her years of experience on both Baines and Poulton Parish Council, and her strong support for the Somer Valley community, we're confident that she'll do an outstanding job.
Thank you. Councillor Wright?
Thank you. Delighted to have Councillor... sorry, I've got nervous. Liz Hardman as one of our chairs. I know that over many years you have worked tirelessly, certainly in the scrutiny panel, to ensure that there's a fairness in the room and people are properly spoken to and speak back within that space. It's a delight to have a woman in this role. We never have enough of them in the room, and so whatever political party you're from, thank you for being in this role. How hard that must be at all times. And also, I would like to thank you for your kindness to all councillors across different parties and ensure fairness and democracy in the room. Thank you.
Thanks. Councillor Heathcote?
Hi. Having myself only been elected to council in May 2023, as we all know, it takes time to get to know each and every of our fellow councillors in the chambers. All of us here tonight come from different backgrounds and come from different professions. However, I think we can all agree that one thing that brings us all together is the very reason we are all here this evening, and that is to do the best for the people that we represent. Liz has been a councillor long before my time on the council, and yet still has a fresh-faced, bubbly, bright, approachable presence in any room she's in. Liz has always been passionate about young people, and this is evident not only here in council chambers, but outside as a school governor and advocate for looked after children. To be an effective chair requires certain personal credentials, all of which come with time and experience. Things like the ability to have a consistent understanding of things that affect people's everyday lives. Honour, respect, integrity, and above all, impartiality. These are all words that I would use to describe Liz, and for that reason it's with great pleasure that the Independents for Baines fully endorse Liz as Chair of Council, and we wish her every success in the role.
Thank you. Councillor Evans?
Thank you. On behalf of the Conservative Group, Councillor Warren and myself, we would like to congratulate you on your appointment as Chair of this Council, Liz. We are sure you will do a wonderful job representing us all. Thank you.
Thank you. As we only have one nomination for Chair, I'd like to put that to the vote, please. Thank you. That's unanimous. Congratulations, Councillor Hardman. Thank you.
At last. So apologies for the delay, but I hope we will get this over fairly quickly. I, Liz Hardman, having been elected to the office of Chair of Bath and North East Somerset Council, declare that I take that office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties of it according to the best of my judgment and ability. Thank you. Well, I have to sign. Thank you. I am deeply honoured to be elected as the new Chair of Bath and North East Somerset Council. I would like to thank Councillors Guy and Moss and group leaders for your kind words, and you, my fellow councillors, for voting for me. I would especially like to thank the outgoing Chair, Karen Walker, for the excellent example she has set. I am looking forward to representing the Council at many events in the forthcoming year, such as presiding over our citizenship ceremonies, as well as supporting the Council's role as corporate parent to our looked after children, or as they prefer to be called, children looked after. One of my main areas of focus will be supporting mental health charities, including Bathmind, who play an important role in supporting those with mental health and neurodiversity issues in Bath and North East Somerset. As a councillor, I have represented the ward of Poulton since 2011, and Robin Moss has stolen my thunder because I wanted to be the first to say I am the very first councillor from Poulton to hold the position of chair, and I'm very proud of this. However, I know my residents are rightly going to keep checking I continue to represent them on potholes and parking. It is a real privilege to represent them, but also it is a privilege to be your new Chair of Council. Thank you. So our next thing that we're going to do is to elect the Vice Chair. Could I have a nomination from the floor?
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to nominate Councillor Sean Stevenson-McGall. Sean is a very experienced councillor, and he's also accustomed to sitting up on the dais because he's previously had the role of Vice Chair and Chair before, so he's an extremely experienced individual. He may have boyish looks, ladies and gentlemen, but he was first elected in 1999, and this is his 6th term in office. So that just shows how experienced he is. He's currently the councillor for Timsbury, and does an extremely good job to represent the residents of Timsbury. And Sean fulfills many other roles as well. He's worked extremely hard as the Vice Chair of the Avon Pension Fund Committee, and also Chair of the Avon Pension Fund Committee Investment Panel as well. And I know that is a topic that he's extremely passionate about. Another key topic that Sean works extremely hard on is the LGBTQ+ community. He is passionately involved with the creation of Bath's first Pride event as well, which we're all extremely happy that is happening again this year. And he's also the member advocate for travel in North and East Somerset. Sean is invaluable with his advice in times in Lib Dem meetings, and he's not shy in questioning myself or others if he thinks we are going astray. So I'm sure he will be a great asset and a great support to you, Chair, in your year, and I'm more than happy to nominate him as Vice Chair.
Could I ask for a seconder to endorse the proposal?
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to second Sean to this role, and as I say, we're very pleased to be able to do so. As one of our most long-standing councillors, and having taken on the role before, it's tempting to say, what's your excuse? You should have known better. But I'm sure that's not the case. And I think with Sean, yes, a long-standing councillor, but who's made the move from metropolitan Bath through to the sunny climes of North East Somerset. So I'm sure that you'll be a chair for both parts of our of our authority. So happy to second, and I hope you enjoy your year and your 2 years.
If there are no further nominations, we will then go to the vote.
Press your side first.
Apologies for the delay. We're having a few more technical problems here, but the vote has been unanimous, and I would hereby like to declare that Councillor Sean Stevenson-McGall is our Vice Chair for the coming year.
Sorry,
Sean,
just to clarify, there were 2 abstentions. Sorry.
Right.
We've had a bit of an issue with the mic unit, but thank you.
I was going to say, if Sean would like to approach the Chair.
I, Sean Stevenson-McGall, having been elected to the office of Vice Chair, Bath and North East Somerset Council, declare that I take the office upon myself and will duly and faithfully fulfil the duties in accordance to the best of my judgment and ability.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank everyone for showing their support for me tonight. It's a great honour to hold this position for a second time, and I look forward to spending my year supporting our new chair and ensuring that all communities in Bath and North East Somerset are represented and supported in this council chamber. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Sean. So moving on to agenda item 5, the minutes. Could I have a proposal from the floor that the minutes are correct? Okay, thank you, Councillor Jackson. And the seconder, Councillor McCabe. All those in favour? And I do believe that we are having a show of hands for this at this particular time. So, okay, thank you.
I'm sure that's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, we go on to agenda item 6, declarations of interest. Joe, are there any interests listed for this meeting?
I've had none notified, so do speak up if you've got anything you need to declare. Thank you.
There are no further declarations from the councillors, so we move on to agenda item 7, which are announcements from the Chair. Firstly, I'd like to explain that unfortunately, Councillor Walker is unable to be present, so her past chair's badge will be presented to her, but at the next council meeting. I'd like to remind everybody to switch off their mobiles or onto silent. I would like to remind members that you need to log into a mic unit, as I have been reminded, so that you're going to be able to speak and vote, but do remember to turn it off when you're speaking. And finally, I'd like to announce that this meeting is being webcast, so if anybody here doesn't wish to be filmed, please can you make yourselves known so that the camera operators are aware. Agenda item 8, to announce any urgent business agreed by the Chair. I have no urgent business. I'd now like to move on to agenda item 9, the appointment of committees and panels and other annual business. And I'd like to invite Councillor Guy to move the recommendations. Councillor Guy.
Thank you, Chair. Colleagues, as we move to the annual business, I want to take a moment to reflect, not just on the structure and appointments, but on the values, experience and leadership that have defined this Liberal Democrat administration over the past 6 years. While other councils have struggled to keep the lights on, this council continues to deliver for its residents because of the calibre of the people at the heart of it. We are fortunate to have a team that brings together experience from all walks of life that shape our approach, whether that's from the public sector, like doctors and teachers, from business and industry, different ages and backgrounds. We're fortunate to have a strong, compassionate voices in key committee and advisory roles, dedicated and experienced representatives who bring lived experience and fierce determination to everything they do. This is what makes our administration effective. A team of real people bringing real-world experience to the serious business of running a council. Today, that team continues to evolve. As Liberal Democrats, we place great importance on engaging with residents and improving communication and transparency. So I'm especially delighted to announce that Councillor Amanda Rigby will take on the newly created portfolio role, focusing on the community and communications. Next, I'd like to welcome Councillors Joel Hurst and Lucy Hodge into the Cabinet, where they'll lead a sustainable transport and strategy and delivery programmes. Both are seasoned councillors who've already made strong contributions to project lead roles, and I know they will continue to deliver. We also welcome Councillors Ian Halsall, Fiona Gawley as a new Cabinet project leads, helping push forward with some of the most ambitious plans this council has. But I want to pay special thanks to Councillor Tim Ball. With 4 decades of service, I shall repeat that, 4 decades of service, he will bring invaluable experience to the Planning Committee and has been nominated for the Chair's role. So congratulations, Tim. I want to thank each and every councillor for their contribution to the effective running of this council over the past year. Your work is deeply valued. But I want to pause for a second to give particular thanks to Councillor David Wood. Over the past 6 years, Dave has been a key member of the Cabinet. His contributions have been central to our mission of improving people's lives, and it's fair to say that this council could not have delivered so many priorities for residents without his essential input. I'm sure every councillor in this room will join me in wishing him the best and speediest recovery going through this poor health period. Colleagues, we are delivering. This council is delivering. We've kept council tax among the lowest in the region. We've welcomed the new tenant into Jollies. We're building affordable homes in the right places, and we have award-winning services, including in recycling and our park and ride team. This year, we increased the clean and green funding by over $250,000. We've supported pensioners on the low-income households and local crisis funds, and the list of these achievements go on and on. When you compare it to elsewhere, the contrast is very, very clear. Where other councils, such as those under new political leadership, indulge in gesture politics and attempt to cancel projects that never even existed, one might say they're putting ideology ahead of delivery. We do things very differently here. We've secured development for Bath's new fashion museum, a clear vote of confidence in our vision. We've made real progress for our market towns, including Midsummer Norton's new Market Square, and we've taken strategic steps to reduce HGV impact on our city. We get the basics right too, repairing roads, listening to communities and improving communication. We do things differently because it matters. We run the council, we make the decisions on behalf of our residents because it really, really matters who is in this room. And perhaps now more than ever, there are political parties out there willing to stir up division and hate, but by having a Liberal Democrat authority who care deeply about their communities at the heart of this council, we ensure no community is divided and that misinformation and hate do not win. That's what Liberal Democrat leadership looks like. Not loud slogans, not chaos, but delivery, compassion and real-world experience. So as I make these annual appointments today, let's remember what truly sets this council apart. Not just our policies, but people and the experience behind them. Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to move recommendations 2.1 to 214.
Thank you, Councillor Guy. Councillor Moss, are you going to second this?
Yes. Happy to second the recommendations in the report. While not necessarily agreeing with all the detail outlined by Kevin, but certainly the points made about division, about delivery and about working together, I think are important ones in these difficult and interesting political times. Can I say congratulations to those new members of Cabinet and those Cabinet members with new responsibilities. As the opposition, we will of course be keeping eagle eyes on yourselves and the work that the Cabinet does. But I would like to echo the points and I think the thanks to Tim Ball. It's been a long time, Tim, and retirement to chair the Planning Committee is hardly a retirement that the rest of us would consider. But more seriously, from the Labour group, and I'm sure from the opposition groups, would like to echo best wishes to Dave and hopeful for his improvement in health. And hopefully see him back here. We'll see him standing for election in a few years' time and losing to a Labour candidate is ideal, but certainly been able to step forward again. So happy to second the recommendations in the report.
Do any councillors wish to speak? If not, Councillor Guy, do you want to sum up?
No, thank you, Chair. Happy to move to the vote.
If we now move to the vote. So it wasn't unanimous, but we do have 2 abstentions, so these recommendations are carried. Thank you. If we now move on to agenda item 10, the Licensing Act of 2023, Review Statement of Licensing Policy. I believe Councillor Tim Ball, you're going to move the recommendations.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm happy to move the recommendations of this report. This has been through Licensing Committee and come through pretty unscathed. Councillor Toby Simon actually chaired that particular meeting, so I'm going to let him make all the salient points. I move.
Councillor Simon, would you like to second this, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I'm very pleased to second this motion, and I'd like to begin by thanking the colleagues who attended the Licensing Committee on a workday morning. We had a really constructive debate from across the chamber where people made very useful suggestions. I'd like to flag up 2 areas that we looked at in particular. The first was spiking. Spiking's very much a modern problem, and so we reviewed the policy to make sure that licensed premises should have an effective anti-spiking policy and to know what to do and train their staff accordingly. The second is a related issue, which is harassment. And there's a scheme called Ask for Angela, where you can ask at the bar for, can I have a word with Angela? And they should then activate arrangements to make sure that you talk to somebody who can sort out the problem that you're probably having with somebody else on the premises. And so Ask for Angela is a useful protective device, and I'm told that it's particularly well publicised in the ladies' toilets, it gives people reassurance that somebody behind the bar knows what they will do if you need help. So, again, we looked at that in the policy, made sure that the policy covered those 2 important areas. We also reviewed arrangements for cumulative impact and some of the other detail, but I think that it's those 2 programmes that are particularly important. So I'm very happy to move acceptance of the new policy which is in the papers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Toby. Councillor Johnson, you'd like to speak?
Yes, sorry, Chair. I probably should have said earlier, I'd just like to declare an interest. I'm a member of the management committee of a football club that's licensed, so I just thought I'd declare that. I don't think it'd be an issue, but...
Thank you for that declaration, and I think you've given us enough detail for that. Councillor Moss, would you like to make a statement?
Thank you. It's following on from Toby's comments about the important sections within this review and this report. And certainly wouldn't want to underestimate the importance of policy about spiking and policies around harassment. However, I do want to have a quick to mention sections 32.9 and 32.10, which is a follow-on from the motion that we passed in November 2023 on the Safe Travel Home for night economy workers. And I have to say that I think the report is disappointing in the lack of detail on how that can be put into practice. Actually encouraging people to consider joining a voluntary scheme in 2 lines, I would say is not enough. Because if we cast our minds back to that debate, it was a motion that was carried unanimously across the council, and it was a debate that was characterised by councillors from all sides of this chamber about their concerns for family members, for friends, for colleagues who they were worried about and who were worried about travelling home late at night. And I would ask, I appreciate this is a 5-year review or 6-year review, but I would ask for a reconsideration of those 2 paragraphs to have some more detail, and that detail be brought back to councillors and hopefully this council within 6 months. The Labour Group isn't going to vote against these recommendations or what is effectively a draft policy, but I would say that this is a serious omission in the sense that there is a lack of detail, and we would ask for those 2 paragraphs to be reconsidered, particularly focusing on how the council's policy that was passed unanimously can be put into action. And just referencing it, I would argue, is not enough.
Thank you, Councillor Moss. Are there any other speakers? Councillor McCabe.
Sorry, I should declare that I'm also a director of a company that has a licensed premises, so I'll abstain.
Thank you for that. If there are no more speakers, Councillor Ball, would you like to sum up?
Yes, I'll sum up very briefly. Answering Councillor Moss, yes, we do recognise there's an issue there. I did answer Councillor Mansell in detail a few days ago. This is work in progress, all of this. This is not an issue that particularly is being dismissed, it's being one taken actively forward. If you wish, back in 6 months' time, I think that's quite correct. I'm quite happy for that to take place. The new person covering licensing won't be me, but I'm sure the new cabinet member is in the room now and we'll take that forward.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. We'll now go to the vote. Thank you. Once again, that was unanimous, and we do have some extensions as well. Thank you.
Just to clarify, that's 45 in favour with 2 abstentions, so that's carried. Thanks.
We now go on to agenda item 11, the Constitution, recommendations from the Constitution Working Group, and I believe, Councillor Ball, you're going to recommend and move the recommendations. You're working very hard tonight.
It's not my show this evening, honestly. I will do the recommendations of the Constitution Working Group. The actual meeting took place mainly on financial regulations of officers and officers' delegations on a particular issue. I therefore move the recommendations which shouldn't be controversial.
Thank you, Councillor Ball. Councillor Moss, I believe you are seconding this.
Happy to second, but point out that this, again, is work in progress. A lot of the recent work of the Constitution Working Group has been around the changes in procurement legislation. And as you can imagine, the meetings were just as interesting as they sound when you're looking at technical regulations. But I think one issue that was brought up, and one thing that we do need to be looking at as a council, is how we can make sure that procurement rules remain within the legislative framework, remain legal and not subject to legal challenge, but at the same time are able to move forward the council policy on keeping it local, making sure that we keep money in the local economy rather than to international companies or even national companies, and to make sure that we do it in a way that particularly supports small charities and small businesses. It is not good enough to have a procurement policy, and this is across the country, not necessarily Baines, that discriminates in favour of large organisations who have bid writing teams and legal teams to actually back that up. And it's certainly the case that in different parts of the country there are not only local authorities but also NHS trusts that have been successfully able to take this forward. So happy to support the recommendations, but this is work in progress, and I'm sure that there'll be future reports, particularly around those issues.
Thank you, Councillor Moss. I don't think there are any other speakers. I beg your pardon. Councillor Jackson. Could you put your microphone on, please?
Thank you very much. I wondered, Chair, if I could just ask a question about the meaning of the sentence on page 62 concerning the representation on the Standards Committee. It says, promote and maintain high standards of conduct by councillors, parish councillors, co-opted members and church and parent governor representatives. With due respect, and I am a Christian, how does the church come into it, or does it mean governors of church schools? I don't quite understand this sentence, and I wondered if somebody could clarify.
Councillor Ball, in your summing up, do you want to address that? Councillor Tempe.
Chair, I don't have access to the text that Councillor Jackson mentions because the council website is down, so I can't actually look at it. But I would note that there are statutory co-optees to our health and education functions, and I suspect that the wording is designed to deal with not the presence of those statutory co-optees who are subject to our standards, as well as to parish councils for whom the Standards Committee, of which I'm co-chair, acts. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Toby. I think you have answered the question. If there are no more speakers, Councillor Ball, would you like to sum up?
I'm very brief. I thank Councillor Simon for actually remembering the text of the papers. I think he's quite correct on that particular issue. We will check with officers and come back to Councillor Jackson if it's any different in the meeting. I agree with Councillor Moss. This is work in progress. The Constitution Working Group is constantly work in progress and will continue that sort of way. Sometimes, like paint drying at meetings, as we well know, we rehearse the same things and question officers over and over again. It's important we get the Constitution right, we get the procedures right, and I quite agree with local trading. I'm actually wondering how some of our newly formed county councils are going to actually manage to do actual constitution issues and actually do procurement correctly.
Many thanks, Councillor Ball. We'll now go to the vote. These recommendations have been passed and it was unanimous. Thank you. We're now going to go on to agenda item 12, where we have questions and statements from the public. We have 8 speakers who are registered. Can I remind the speakers that their statements will be referred to the relevant Cabinet member for a reply within 5 working days. I'd like to call our first speaker, Susan Charles. Susan, can you approach the chair, please?
Thank you. Good evening. Firstly, I'd like to thank Councillor Guy for your invitation last November to meet with Councillor McCabe and Cindy with our Access Group's concerns for accessible planning at the onset. We had an informative meeting, I hope on both sides, so many thanks to you all. Our former Wycombe Mayor had forwarded our concerns to the government last summer, and I'm in touch with Baroness Taylor, Parliamentary Under Secretary of State for Housing and Local Government, who has passed our concerns on to the relevant department officials for careful consideration. Our hopes of accessible planning for all new build becomes mandatory. And congratulations to Councillor Ball. I have your number. Accessible buses, often a problem, not just getting on and off, but over the last 2 years, with the ongoing road works on the A4 affecting the X39 bus route between our cities and the A4 airport bus route, it seems the joined-up thinking between the contractors, planning, street furniture, temporary traffic lighting, etc., being installed for vehicles to continue their journey between the cities whilst works continue, has not always included bus users. Last year, the bus stops were going to be closed between the Globe roundabout and Saltford for a whole week. Buses still running, but not allowed to stop for passengers. Luckily, after a phone call to John Wise of Highways, who held an emergency meeting 2 days before to arrange temporary bus stops, where the buses would be insured and passengers could carry on their daily routine as for vehicle drivers. Resurfacing 3 weeks ago on the A4 between the Globe and Saltford, again, vehicles had been warned of on the roadsides weeks before, so could plan ahead. A detour route on the A39 around Hicks Gate planned on the internet. Not clear for bus users, and not everyone is on the internet. Again, it took a phone call a week before, and notices eventually went up at Causton Turn bus stop, hopefully others, only 4 days before the 8 p.m. to 7 a.m. overnight closures. That included 3 days of the bank holiday weekend. Along with this lack of communication between the services, a lack of electronic timetables and bus shelters, it does not encourage bus use. And with a very busy A4, buses can be very, very unreliable. Uninformed, these problems are on many bus routes. Waiting at a cold bus stop in the rain, wondering if the bus will come and will it stop, this does not encourage car users to leave their car at home. Please,
Susan, could you bring your comments to a close? Many thanks. Thank you. I'd now like to call Jason Towles. Oh, sorry, before we do that, are there any factual questions from group leaders? Sorry, if you could wait there, Susan. Any factual questions from group leaders? Okay, no. Well, thank you very much, Susan. Thank you. I'd now like to call Jason Towles to make a statement.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity and allowing me to speak this evening. I'm here to discuss the potential closure of Fossway House, the residential provision of Fossway School in Westfield. Fossway House is an education provision for autistic young people that extends the learning beyond the school day for students accessing it. This education is vital in supporting those students attending in their preparation for adulthood. In October 2024, Bath and North East Somerset LA informed the school that they would no longer be funding placements in the residential provision, as they had identified that no child accessing the school required this, and that the education Fossway House provides can be met during the school day. Whilst Fossway School identifies that for some students, the teaching of independent living, training on employment, community inclusion and staying healthy can be met through the school day, for others this is simply not possible due to the complexities of their diagnosis and behaviour. For some, the 24-hour education that the school provides can support the development of skills and enhance education, thus reducing the cost of future placements when leaving school due to the education provided. The Partnership Trust submitted proposals and evidence for 6 students in January 2025 that they felt would constitute a residential placement. Further referrals for other students were put on hold due to the LA's decision. This evidence for a residential placement was gathered from parents, school staff and external services supporting the young people, for example CAMS. Most importantly, it was submitted by people who live with and support that young person every day of their life across all areas encountered at home and in school. A lot of consideration is placed on whether Fossway House is a suitable placement for each individual, and decisions are not taken lightly when applying for funding by the team around the child. In a recent scrutiny panel, we heard that a multidisciplinary team within Baines had made the decision not to place these students in Fossway House, citing that the school day can provide this education. Whilst not disputing the credibility of this team, I ask if they know the child better than the team supporting on a daily basis. We are disappointed at the decision by the LA in terms of these students. Fossway House is inspected by Ofsted on an annual basis and for the last 3 years has been graded as outstanding. This has coincided with the raising of the bar in relation to national minimum standards for residential special schools in 2022. The Partnership Trust feel that a provision like Fossway House should be celebrated by Baines and that serious consideration needs to be taken to decisions made about withdrawing funding for students accessing this. Whilst the Trust are aware that it is their decision to close the provision, without funding from the LA, the options to keep this running are incredibly limited. The needs of the children accessing Fossway House have not changed, and the support they require remains the same. So this change in stance from the LA is disappointing and could potentially have a detrimental effect longer term on these vulnerable young people. We encourage councillors to act on this to keep a provision like this thriving in the local community.
Many thanks, Jason. Are there any factual questions from group leaders? Councillor Hughes.
Thank you. Hi, Jason. Have there been any changes in the children's needs that would support this council decision?
No. So, for the last 20 plus years, the residential placement has been funded by education. The needs of the children has not changed, and I would suggest that the complexity of needs coming into the school means that more provisions like Fossway House will be needed in the future rather than closing them across the area.
Thank you. Councillor Evans.
Good evening, Jason. Thank you. Could the closure of Fossway House affect school attendance of the students that you support?
Yes, potentially it could. So the nature of the students that come to Fossway House all have a diagnosis of autism. Part of that, their level of need is that they find transitions very difficult. So that whole home, school, home and everything that entails in between can be very traumatic, can be very challenging for that young person, but also challenging for the parents. The fact that Fossway House is on site at the school means we minimise those transitions. We're then able to allow that student then to access school calmly during the day and obviously enhance their day education. Plus, what it's also doing is it's reducing challenging behaviour within the home, and obviously it's reducing stress on those parents to get that child to school. So there are students, I think, who would eventually refuse to come to school, or simply parents would give up trying to get their child ready for school, such is the nature of the challenge, to get them to school, which obviously Fossway House removes, because there's a team of skilled autistic practitioners within the provision who are supporting those children on a daily basis, and providing education throughout.
Thank you. Councillor Moss.
Thank you, and thank you for your statement, Jason. Are you aware that the last Children Health and Wellbeing Scrutiny Panel discussed this, and Labour councillors raised concerns there? And at the same meeting, we heard about a disproportionate number of young people who have special educational needs going through the youth justice system. Do you think that the work that you do at Fossway House could help divert those young people away from the youth justice system?
I think the nature of the children that come to Fossway House potentially would not impact on youth justice. The level of their needs are quite severely autistic. So It's a different need, I would say.
Thank you. Councillor Wright.
Thank you very much for your statement, Jason. Is there a possibility children could end up in care with the closure of Fossway House?
For sure. We've certainly identified as a school and a team that potentially there are currently 7 young people living in that provision. That the potential of not having Fossway House, that at least 3 could end up within the care system, we believe. Definitely 1, but with potential for another 2. The beauty of Fossway House is we are educating that young person, which is then impacting on the home, which is giving parents the break to then keep the family together. So essentially the education it's providing is keeping children out of care.
Many thanks, Jason. Thank you very much indeed for your comments. I'd now like to call Joanna Meredith.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you to Councillor David Biddleston for inviting me to talk to yourselves, reference the need for a community hall in the town of Keynsham. My name is Jane Meredith, and I've been a member of Keynsham Light Opera Group for 25 years, serving as their chair of committee for over 10 years, and a director for the group since 2010, so I speak from experience. Our members are aged 18 to 80, still on stage with us. I'm also the volunteer artistic director of Phoenix Keynsham Youth Theatre, who are an affordable, award-winning musical theatre group in Keynsham for children aged 10 to 17. The group was established 10 years ago, starting with just 13 children. We now have a cast of 40 with a huge waiting list. Both groups serve an important role in the community of Keynsham, and we take part every year in the Keynsham Music Festival, the Keynsham Winter Festival, carol singing at all the local retirement homes, and we have sung for the Twinning Committee of Bath and the Lord Mayor and their guests. We find ourselves in the difficult position of having no guaranteed theatre space in Keynsham or the wider surrounding area to perform our shows. We are also currently having difficulty finding a new home for rehearsals for both groups since having to leave Broadlands Academy due to astronomical rising hire charges, unavailability of the venue hall due to it also being used for exams, and school not having available funds to make their theatre space safe with a condemned theatre rig and essential stage repairs having not been completed for many years. We have for the last 2 years been trying to make the space above Keynsham Library work as a theatre venue, as it says across the door. But unfortunately, the venue is wholly inadequate. It is without changing facilities. We currently use the upstairs library offices for the boys to change. And we also have to use library display boards to cover up the floor-to-ceiling window displays that allow us to let the girls change safely. There is also inadequate space for technical teams, and we currently empty the storage cupboard to house them. The maximum seating for the audience is 108, and in a week-long show of Annie this Easter holidays, we sold every seat and had a waiting list for every single night. When the venue is at full capacity, there is a lack of suitable toilets. Front of house space for patrons to sit and comfortably enjoy refreshments is not existing. There are no lighting bars fitted at the venue or ceiling curtain tracks, which would be standard in any theatre community hall. Next year, we are unable to book the venue for a stage show, as it has already been pre-booked throughout the year with lots of council meetings and booked for numerous external classes. We are now looking as far afield as Conagra Hall in Timsbury, the Rondo Theatre in Bath, and we've just been turned down by Warmley Community Hall as they are already at maximum hire. Thank you.
Would you like to stay, Joanne, for some questions? Many thanks, Joanne. Any factual questions from group leaders? Councillor Moss.
Thank you, Joe, for coming. Very eloquently put together. Thank you for that. So my factual question would be, is this representative of other organisations within the town?
Yes, having spoken in a working group, there are many organisations, including dance groups and other entertainment classes that are unable to find rehearsal venues in Keynsham because they are all indeed fully booked.
Thank you. Councillor Guy.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, John, for that speech. Sarah and I have experience at community halls in Bath Easton, and the community raised £850,000 themselves, and then the council were able to support that business case. Do you have a business case for the community hall in Cambridge that we can look at?
I'm not aware, sorry, no, of that. No, we're just starting to talk to the local councillors about the issues that we're experiencing. So no, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of it.
Well, when you do, we're more than happy to have a look.
Thank you. Councillor Heathcote.
I'd like to defer to Councillor Warren.
Hi. Having two nieces who basically did the same amateur dramatics and putting on shows out at Yate, I can confirm it's a wonderful thing for youngsters to be involved in. I was just wondering what the age range is of the children and young adults who also take part. And I believe there is a hall of some sort, some space at the new waste centre at Pixash Lane. I wonder if that's... I haven't actually seen it myself, but someone's seen it and said it's a really nice... it's like a conference suite or something. I don't know, it's just a suggestion. So yeah, the question is sort of age range of the people involved.
So for the Phoenix Cambridge Youth Theatre, we're an affordable community theatre. All of the people who run it are volunteers, and the children are aged 10 to 17. And then for the adults, again, we're a community theatre. They don't have to audition to come into the setting. Everybody is welcome, and the people on stage are aged 18 to 80.
Many thanks. Thank you, Joanne. I'd like to now call Bethany Claus-Widdock.
Hi, my name is Bethany Klaus-Weidick. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm a resident of Lower Lansdowne, which you can probably not tell from my accent. I'm here to offer my perspective on the ETRO that's taking place in our neighborhood. First, I'd like to tell you how it was prior to the Livable Neighborhood Initiative. Every morning and afternoon during school run time, we would see parents using Cavendish, Winifred's Lane, Sion Hill, and Lansdowne Crescent as cut-throughs on their way to and from Kingswood and the Royal High. There were giant SUVs bombing through our neighborhood, often with one child in the back at excessive speeds. They would ignore pedestrians, and we and our daughter were almost hit multiple times while walking to and from school. We didn't walk our dog during school run times because we were concerned for her safety due to some near misses. We had seen the opposition on class WhatsApp groups, primarily coming from people who don't live in Lower Lansdowne, who simply wanted as a convenient way to drive their children to school and shave 2 minutes off of their route. Their poor planning and me-first attitude shouldn't require us to accept a dangerous situation. And for parents who live closer to one school campus, they refuse to consider the minibus services that both Kingswood and the Royal High offer to transport children between their prep and senior school campuses. The parents simply preferred to drive. Now, with the ETRO in place, this is our current situation. The neighborhood is quieter, traffic is calmed, and we have seen more people walking and biking on a daily basis, both residents and tourists who frequently visit the Crescent. There's a tangible difference in feeling safer as a pedestrian, walking the dog, walking to and from work down in the city, and my daughter walking to and from school. While we don't have a car, we do take taxis and Ubers as well as the bus, so we have firsthand experience in the impact of the detour on drivers. Moreover, we can actually put a numerical figure on it, which is less than £1. 1 additional minute and less than £1 for a taxi coming up from Kingsmead to pop over to Lansdowne Road as opposed to the shorter route of Cavendish. That is absolutely worth it to us to improve the safety of our neighborhood, its children, pets, elderly, and disabled. We welcome and appreciate the trial, and it has made a clear and positive impact on the quality of life and safety in our neighborhood. Combined with the additional zebra crossings recently added on Lansdowne Road, for which we thank you most sincerely, there has been a demonstrable improvement in our safety as residents. This ETRO and Livable Neighborhood Initiative is another positive step in ensuring that Bath is a livable, thriving city for its residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Bethany. Any factual questions from group leaders? No factual questions. Thank you, Beth. I'd now like to call Charlie Knight, please.
Good evening, councillors. I wanted to start by thanking the council and you all for the work you do. As a student at the University of Bath, I am profoundly grateful for the work this council puts in to ensuring that Bath remains an amazing place to work, live and study for all. I wanted to particularly highlight the value of easy access to heritage sites, as well as the excellent service provided by the U1, the U2 and the U5, all of which are essential for students living in the city. It remains a pleasure to have lived and worked for the last 4 years in a city that is so hospitable for us all, and failing to acknowledge the work you all put in to not only maintain it, but also to make it and the surrounding communities an even better place would be churlish at the very least. I wanted to also congratulate Councillor Guy on his recent appointment as the first rotating Deputy Mayor under Mayor Godwin. The previous Metro Mayor's term was a failure in almost every conceivable way, and I hope this early display of bipartisan cooperation will be reflective of the rest of her term. She made much of her ability to work with the national government to gain the financial resources that are desperately needed in many parts of our area, and I hope those become available in time to resolve some of the challenges we face. Well, I'm sure there have already been discussions about how our local communities can be improved through cooperation between Baines and Wecker. I wanted to raise awareness on a few points that people living here have made when discussing their local areas. I know the Council spent much time and effort trying to reduce congestion across Bath. Much of this congestion comes from young families seeking to drop their children off at school. I know that independent travel to school is a key goal of this Council, but a number of parents with children in school here in Bath have cited the continuously increasing costs of bus tickets as a key motivation in driving their children to school themselves, taking up valuable road space. If lower congestion is the goal, then making bus travel for school children cheaper is an obvious place for Wecker to start, especially now they have ceased plastering the former mayor on the side of their buses. The other point I'd like to briefly make is the importance of road maintenance. When I spoke at the Cabinet meeting in February, I welcomed the expansion of the road cleaning crews, but more money is needed to fill in potholes and damaged pavements across the region. I met one elderly resident from Westfield who showed me a picture of the substantially damaged pavements outside his home, and he expressed frustration that the Council had not got the resource to fix the issue. In a time of ongoing cuts, I applaud the Council for doubling their investment in footway repairs this year, and I urge both Wecker and Westminster to step up with more money as well. Thank you for your time, Councillors.
Thank you, Charlie. Are there any factual questions from group leaders? Councillor Moss.
Thank you for your statements. Thank you for referencing Westfield as well. Can I suggest, and politely suggest, that it's Bath and North East Somerset? If you leave out the nest bit, you're going to put the hackles up of half the people in the room. So I would suggest that you include that.
I'm not sure if that was a...
Yes.
I am not sure if that was a truly factual question, but he's got away with it. Okay. Many thanks, Charlie. Thank you. I'd now like to call Adrian Inker to come and make a statement.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to address Council this evening on the Keynsham Regeneration Plan and the need for a community hall in Keynsham. Over the last few years, the increase in homes has seen the population of Keynsham grow from 15,500 in 2011 to 20,500 in 2024, and it's still rising. People living in these homes have been welcomed and enabled the community to become much more diverse, and this has significantly reduced the age profile of the area. Unfortunately, we have seen very little improvement in infrastructure and community facilities, and it's hard to see where SIL money and Section 106 money has been spent in the town. A comment often heard actually around the town by countless visitors and residents. The provision of a community hall in Keynsham would help to address this shortfall. It would bring the community together and give residents a facility they could have ownership of and take some pride in. In Keynsham, we are blessed with having a diverse number of quality performing arts companies. They are inclusive and open to all age groups. At present, there are limited opportunities for these groups to perform in the town. A fit-for-purpose facility in Keynsham could address this shortfall and bring the theatre back into the town. The benefits of such a facility to bring residents is obvious to see. More opportunities for participation in the arts and culture for young and old alike, and will also bring improvements in the quality of life and well-being for local residents. As well as that, of course, it could bring other people into Keynsham, which could spend money in the shops, in the stores, and actually appreciate the other facilities that Keynsham has to offer. Any community facility needs to maximise its use, and the community hall should be no different. To this end, the community hall could be multi-purpose and could support the work of numerous charities that exist to make life better for local residents. Over the years, I have seen the role of the charity sector change. Charities complemented the services provided by local authorities and other agencies, but now, because of budget cuts, charities have to actually provide services, and they need support to be able to do that. We are very fortunate in Keynsham in having a great third sector that provides a wide range of support services to help local residents. Bringing these charities together under one roof would have numerous advantages. It would lead to better communication between the charities and enable a much more strategic approach to meeting the needs, changing needs and challenging needs of the people of the town. It could also lead to more joint working, more joint funding bids, and also less duplication. The debate around the community hall in Keynsham is not new and actually predates this council. I would argue that the need for it is greater now than it has ever been, so together I'm sure we can actually make this happen.
Many thanks, Adrian. Have I got any factual questions from group leaders? Councillor Guy?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Adrian. Just briefly, the council has spent tens of millions of pounds in Keynsham regenerating it, so there's plenty of evidence for that. But my factual question is, again, as for the previous speaker, is there some sort of valid business plan that we can look at as a council and we can genuinely give it some thought if there is?
As far as I'm aware at this present moment in time, there isn't. It's something that can be worked on. I think we don't want to go into business plannings and stuff like that if we don't have the support for this council to actually make it happen, because obviously it's very labour intensive and it could be costly as well. So we need to get a really good steer from the council that it is a possible probability. Then we can then start moving forward to the next steps. And I think, as I talked earlier on about the charities in Keynsham as well, and I think, those charities coming together, as we saw during COVID, we saw during Ukraine, they could come together around making this actually happen as well. And I think they could actually form the trustee group, for want of a better word, that could actually move this on, do all the work which needs to be done. But I say we need a steer, first of all, so that, quite frankly, we don't want to be wasting our time.
Thank you. Councillor Moss.
I'll defer to Councillor Biddleston. Sorry.
Thank you, Adrian. Really very pleased that Council included the consultation in its Keynsham Regeneration Plan consultation. It includes the community hall, the building of a community hall within the consultation plan, which is the reason that people have come to talk about it today, because it's a situation that we take very, very seriously. Adrian, were you aware that Broadlands was due for redevelopment as part of Building Schools for the Future, which included a significantly large theatre complex that was going to be included in that, but unfortunately, with the incoming Tory government, all of the Building Schools for the Future projects were cancelled. And that was 15, 20 years ago?
It was, Dave, and I think it's the same one. Actually, I was involved with the Chair of Government at that time, Brian Davis, to actually make that happen. We did a lot of fundraising on that. We had plans drawn up. I've actually still got those plans at home now. And it would have been a magnificent facility if we could have made it happen. I think it was also around the time of the academies, school academies, which of course took the ownership of those buildings outside the local authority, which made it even more difficult to deliver, because whether we had access to it or no wasn't in the hands of the community. It was then in the hands of another academy chain in other parts of the country. So that was very unfortunate. That would have actually got us to where we need to be today, I think.
Thank you. Councillor Wright.
Thank you. I'm going to defer to Councillor Sam Ross, but before I do, I just think there's a point of order. They are just meant to be factual questions, not statements before factual questions.
Thank you for your statement. One question I'd like to ask is, what, if any, involvement is Keynsham Town Council having in this community hall?
Hopefully, at the moment in time, obviously, they would be part of the consultation process around what Dave mentioned. I have mentioned this to the Town Council. It's certainly around my keen interest is bringing those charities together, as I expect you've probably picked up from what I said, as well as the theatre part of it. And I have spoken to the Town Council around that, and so there is some interest within the Town Council. And I think if this gets off the ground, obviously, the Town Council would be a big part of that moving forward, as would all the other charities as well. But I think the important thing around this is that whatever happens, that ownership is with local people and with the local area. So that, we can control it, as we talked about Broadlands. We don't want to set a thing up, but all of a sudden we find we can't book anything there because other people has basically jumped over the top of us. So is that control? Also, as well, is a flagship project that local people can be proud in. And I know we talked about regeneration earlier on, and, that's great, but you go and talk to the people of Keynsham, they won't see it in the same light as that. I believe you me. I live in Keynsham a long time, and I talk to people.
I was going to say, can you bring your comments to a close? Thank you very much for all your comments. Thank you. And your point of order has been noted, Councillor Wright. Thank you, Adrian. We're now going to go on to Taylor Wilson-Coyne, please.
So today I want to talk about the recommendations from National Highways to make the A350 a strategic route from the M4 down to the Dorset coast. This would mean that traffic would be diverted away from Bath into Wiltshire, so Chippenham, Melksham, Westbury and Warminster. The council could also stop heavy goods vehicles from using Bath as a cut-through. Many currently use the A36, so Warminster Road, connecting to the A46 London Road out through Larkhall. The changes would mean less congestion and pollution to Bath as a whole, and particularly to my area in Bathwick. I live on Grove Street, just over Pulteney Bridge. Grove Street then connects into, or becomes St John's Road, and then comes out into Cleveland Bridge and Bathwick Street. So I'm directly connected to and affected by those changes. I've been there for 3 years now, and even I think in that time have seen the positive change in traffic flows through Bathwick, and certainly talking to my neighbours and locals when I go for a walk, I think most would say the same. It's clear that it's obvious having HGVs and large volumes of traffic coming past our homes and local area does affect our lives, and it's a big problem for people. That's why it's fantastic to have a Lib Dem council and local councillors in Manda Rigby and Toby Simon who take it seriously, who understand it and prioritise the issue. I only heard about the recommendations through the regular literature that they send out to the ward, so it does have an impact, and people notice it when you have active councillors. Anyway, after years of progress, the recommendation to make the A350 a strategic route is a positive step forward. I hope and I trust that the council will continue to push for this change to go ahead. Thank you.
Many thanks, Taylor. Have we any factual questions from group leaders? No factual questions. Thank you very much indeed. I'd now like to call Simon McComb, who is our last speaker.
Good evening. I'd first like to pay my respects to Pete Wood, who died last week. He was a dedicated member of West Harpshire Parish Council for many years and leaves a lasting legacy. I'd like to speak today about the X91 and X99 local bus service, or as we call it, the Big Lemon, which serves the Chew Valley and Bristol area. And I'd like to thank the Chew Valley Sustainable Transport Group, volunteers Jackie Head, Elaine Workman, Phil Collins and the other members of the Chew Valley community who have kept the project alive, and they have worked so hard in getting the project off the ground and in forming a growing bus community. The Chew Valley area was once served by the 376 bus service, but faced changes in public transport funding, policy decisions by WECA, and along with local councils made the decision to restructure rural bus services in 2023. While the demand response travel called Westlink was a step forward, many of the Chew Valley community felt the service was hard to navigate, it was hard to book via the app, and the services were cancelled at the last minute, often leaving people, including vulnerable women, stranded, or people being unable to attend appointments. With this in mind, local campaigners and transport groups have lobbied WECA to reinstate or improve services, arguing that the cuts have left many rural residents isolated and without reliable transport options. The Big Lemon bus project has stepped in to provide these services. The Big Lemon has been in place now for over a year, and it is a vital link to access the wider Bristol and Bath areas. There have been 3,361 journeys in 2024 and 3,044 individual journeys to date in 2025, showing a significant increase in the number of users. This enables members of the community to be more active and feel less isolated. The scheme comes to an end in April 26, and the group still do not have guidance from WECA on what success looks like or how this continues, partly due to the new mayor, but also before this, the group were pushing for meetings to understand what the plan is. It's not just about transport, it's about reducing social isolation, boosting local economies and promoting sustainable travel. Investing in rural bus services isn't just about mobility, it's about keeping communities connected and thriving. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Are there any factual questions from group leaders? Councillor Guy.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Simon, for bringing those important issues to us. Would you be willing to meet Fiona Gawley, who will be taking on a new representation for rural connectivity, particularly around buses?
I think the Chew Valley Sustainable Transport Group would. I'm sure they would be in contact. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Right, I believe there are no more factual questions. Just to remind our speakers that the statements they have made will be referred to the relevant Cabinet member for a response. Thank you. We're now on to agenda item 13, which is a statement from councillors, and there is one statement registered, so I'd like to invite Councillor Hughes to make this statement. Thank you, Councillor Hughes.
Thank you, Chair. So you heard earlier this evening from Jason at Fossway School, and I'd like to draw your attention to some key points. Fossway offers a unique and vital residential service for children with severe learning difficulties. It allows them to learn and develop in a supportive environment during the week, while still remaining in their loving family homes during the weekends and holidays. This isn't just a school, it's a lifeline. It supports children with some of the most complex learning needs, including high levels of autism, helping them build skills that may one day allow for independent living, something most of us take for granted. This kind of support requires highly trained, patient and caring staff. These people are not bound by the rigid structure of a standard 6-hour school day, yet Baines believes this specialist life-changing work can simply be fitted into a regular school timetable. This is ridiculous and not realistic. The suggestion from Baines is that if parents aren't happy with the decision, they can take the council to a judicial review. But let's be honest, if you're caring for severely challenged children, often from the moment they wake up to the moment they go to sleep, where would you find the time, the energy, or the expertise to take legal action against the council? I don't have a child with severe autism or complex needs, but I can only imagine how overwhelming that role must already be. Expecting those families to mount a legal challenge feels not only unrealistic, but unfair. And you have to wonder why exactly what this council is doing when it seems that those most affected may not be in a position to fight back. Now, Fossway School was rated outstanding by Ofsted in its January 25 inspection. The report described the service as life-changing, highlighting the exceptional quality of care, significant improvements in outcomes, and the deeply positive experiences for the children. Professionals praised the care as holistic, intuitive, and child-centred. This is not just a service. Ofsted confirmed this is a critical support system for some of our area's most vulnerable young people. If this facility is lost, the consequences are severe. Families could face breakdowns and children may end up in care, an outcome that's not only traumatic, but far more costly to the public purse. Supporting a child with severe autism in care is significantly more expensive than maintaining the essential services that Fossway House provide. Let's be clear, the outstanding service this is supporting those who need it the most at a fraction of the cost of the alternatives. The annual cost of a single child with complex needs in care can cost more than funding Fossway House for an entire year. The clock is ticking. Therefore, we have a matter of weeks to save this amazing facility. I ask that this Council review urgently the decision to withdraw funding before the staff are made redundant. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Do we have any factual questions from group leaders? Councillor Wright.
Thank you for your statement. What is the cost to Baines of a child going into care?
Thank you. I don't have any costs for Baines. I know that recent reports from both Nottingham and Brent councils put a cost potentially of up to £5,000 a week for some cases of children in care, and for children with more complex situations, that figure can double. So the cost of keeping Fossway House open for a year of around maybe £150,000 is very cheap by comparison.
Councillor Guy.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Sean. Have you read the Scrutiny Committee's report on this, which clearly states that this is not a budget decision, it's an education decision based with our experts have made this decision, and it's not about finance, and no finance has been withdrawn for these kids. So you saying that the local authority have withdrawn funding is inaccurate.
Well, the funding isn't being provided. I have read the report. The report seems to indicate that there are no children that require this level of service and facility, which is clearly wrong.
Can I just say, Councillor Hughes, you're not responding in a factual way, so we need more factual information, please.
Well, the question was, have I read the report? The answer is yes.
I think perhaps that is the answer that's required. Okay, thank you. If there are no more factual questions, okay, thank you. Councillor Hughes, your statement will be referred to the relevant Cabinet member, so thank you for that. Right, I believe we've reached the close of the meeting, so it's up to me now to declare the meeting closed at just a couple of minutes to 8 o'clock. I don't think future meetings are going to be as fast as this one, but we can only hope. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.